David.
Hi Vince, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, very good. How are you? You well?
Yeah, not too bad. Nice and busy, which is good.
Yeah, very good, very good. What are you up to then? Still,
Well, I don't know whether you've seen, but do you know Ros and Edward Thomas in the centre of the village next to
yeah,
Spotted Dog?
yeah.
You know, we're building them a new garden.
Oh, right. Okay, very good,
So
very good.
we're a day into it, and it's been a day of ups and downs. Uh, Trying to dig. But you never know, do you? When you take something on, you have no idea what's in or under the soil. It's one thing. So I've learned a very valuable lesson today. The, the answer is just flint, and that's it. So I've had to rope in resources to try and help from Majestics to dig holes because they're good at digging holes. So,
Yeah.
but it's
Wow.
been a back-breaking day.
Oh, well, at least it was nice and cool for you.
Yeah, and it's nice to shade. Well, the lucky thing about that garden is the front garden there is it's in the shade all day, so it makes it a bit easier. So
Oh, yes.
that was good, and I finally signed for a contract today for a new job as well. So
Did
it's
you? Right. Excellent. Doing what?
I'm going to consultancy. So I'm going to work for a small consultancy that specialises in pricing.
Okay.
Which is sort of my most recent background. So
Yeah.
the guy who owns it's a business of 30 people, and I got offered the job a week before Corona hit, and then
Yeah.
obviously everything just
I
fell
remember you
apart.
saying, yeah. Yeah, that you
But
were looking at one thing. Oh, well,
yeah, so
congratulations. Yeah,
after
that's it.
14 months off, and I now start again on the 29th of June.
And do you have to actually go in?
No, so and that's the interesting thing is things have changed, haven't they? So
Yeah.
from I know when we originally chatted, it was with him. It was no, I want you in every single day. It's in Oxford Circus.
Yeah.
Now it's well, we've all completely. None of our clients want to see us. We're all doing everything on WebEx and carry on working from home. So I think until the trains sort themselves out, which is going to be a very long and tortuous process, it's going to be yeah, working from home. So
Yeah.
part time initially for July, which works perfectly, and then full time from August. So yeah,
Very
so
good.
building up to it. So so yeah, I'm quite pleased about that. So it's been quite a, like I say, quite an up and down day.
Yeah. It's going to, funnily enough, it's going to be similar for me. I'm going to have to go to work. I've been working from home, but it's kind of the reverse. I've got to now start going to work from August in
Yeah.
Milton Keynes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be it's going to be different for me having to actually go somewhere every morning.
Yeah, it's going to be. Well, the sooner we get back to some sort of normality, the better, I think. But
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, getting there, I think. But yeah, it's taking a while.
I,
Hey,
I like
Sandra.
it.
Hey,
Hello.
how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very
Yes,
good,
I'm
very
right.
good.
David, you all right?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Good.
And apologies for missing last month because it was my first wedding anniversary, so um, I had a meal sprung on me, a Corona meal sprung on me, so that's why I couldn't make last month.
Oh, very
Oh,
good.
did you have a lovely time though?
Well, yeah, actually, Yakko and I have said that we've coped very well with all of this because we naturally live very socially isolated anyway. So we've actually quite enjoyed all of this. It's been pretty much business as usual for us, apart from the Rose and Crown being shut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to find out. No, I can't find it this time. How to make it multi-screen? Oh, there you go. I've done it.
Ah,
Ooh.
So I have.
Hi.
Where was your Where did you get married?
Well, we got married in St Albans in the registry office. And then Tom was very good at, we sort of, relatively small, so I think it was about 40 people. And then we had everybody, sort of 130, 140 in the church for a church blessing, which was really lovely. And then we had the reception, we had teepees and a huge sort of garden party in the paddock behind the Rose and Crown.
Okay.
Which was
Oh,
lovely.
yeah. I remember seeing the teepee. Oh.
Amazing how time flies.
Yeah, indeed.
Hi, Jane.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, can you see me?
Oh,
yes.
Sam, hi, Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello,
Hello.
how are you? How is everyone?
I'm good, thank you.
Very good. Cool. Yeah, and how do I do all these screens again?
I know, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it. I found it.
Oh, I want to see everyone at once.
It's in the top corner.
Top right-hand corner, there's like boxes.
Like 4 little boxes.
Four circles in a circle.
Is it different on iPads, though, I think?
Oh, no.
It is, well, depends, it depends on the iPad. Some of the older iPads, you only get a limited number of pictures.
I'll shut this door.
You really need the up to the moment latest. Leo, sit down.
Are we expecting everyone today?
I haven't had any apologies. Oh yeah, there was who was there? Oh,
Julie?
Tony. Wasn't it? Has he got I haven't heard from Julian.
No, I don't think Julian will be joining us.
Oh, is he not well?
He hasn't been well, but I think he's getting better.
So we need to make sure we mute. Can we keep ourselves as muted so we don't get this clatter going on in the background of dogs barking?
I'm muting everyone.
Tony?
Hi gang, yes, Finn, I'm here.
Okay.
We're missing.
What about Big Dave?
Yeah, Dave, I think he's the only one we're missing. So, okay, let's, we'll make a start. I'll keep an eye out in case he joins.
Nancy. Do we not have Nancy?
Yeah, very true. Okay. Well, it's 7:30, so let's make a start, and I'll just keep an eye out for them. Good. So, hello everyone. To receive and approve apologies. So, as far as we were aware, I think possibly Julian was the only one that we knew about, so we might get the others still. To resolve that the minutes of the annual parish council meeting on the 18th of May are a correct record. Now, I haven't put the questions on the system this week, so I think if we can just do a hands up vote for everything, and Caroline will just be sure that she gets everybody. So are we all happy with the meeting, the minutes for the last meeting? Okay, thank you. Public and press participation.
Just a minute, David, did you not put your hand up? It was a bit limp. I didn't know if it was up or down.
I wasn't in at May. I was having my
I know you weren't here, but I didn't know if you'd kind of anything on them that.
So.
But you're happy to say agree.
I'm happy with them. Everyone else was happy. I'm happy. Yeah.
And we didn't do point 2, is declaration of interest.
Yes, declaration of interest. Yeah. Anything?
So I put Tony as usual.
Okay. Actually, Terry as well. It's unusual for Terry not to be here. Anyway. So, lots of planning today.
Or he might be going to other meetings as well, so maybe he'll come in later because he's got Great Gadsden as well.
Yeah, okay. Saves the best till last, does he? Okay, planned applications, demolition of existing outbuildings and construction of a new detached two-bedroom single-storey dwelling, and this is at Ched Lane Farm. Do we have any thoughts on this, anybody? Yes, Jane?
No objection. I think it looks quite nice, and I don't see it interferes with anything else.
So judging by the nods of heads, it sounded like everybody was in agreement. No objection to this one?
I don't have any objection, Vince. The only point I'd make is, although the house does look pleasant and it's unobtrusive, it is a new house in a greenbelt area of outstanding natural beauty. So, and the one it's replacing, the footprint is tiny compared to the new house that's going up. So, is it the thin end of the wedge? That's what I'm saying. As I don't object to it, but surely, you can't just whistle through as if there's no issues around it. It's a new house that's been built.
It's also worth mentioning it's the second property they're now putting on that site, because they obviously divvied up the land because there was another one which was approved of a detached dwelling, and this is although it's smaller, they've obviously kept a few outbuildings to have a footprint for this one. So it's worth, I don't know if there's any more land available for suddenly another house, because the architects are the same, so they obviously have a bit of perhaps a long-term plan.
There is another existing outbuilding there, isn't there?
So are we saying that we don't object, but we'd like to raise the point that two buildings have been already built on this land in its greenbelt, and we're concerned about the erosion of the greenbelt in the area?
That's my point. And just looking at the footprint is about a quarter of the size. So the old footprint is about a quarter of the size of the new one. And
but it doesn't say that. It says didn't it say it was slightly less footprint, slightly less volume or something?
There's two existing buildings there. The one that they're showing they're building on is tiny. I'm looking at the plans now. So I don't object, but I think we should say something.
Yeah. Jane, you had...
Yeah, sorry, I just want to come back. I do agree with Tim about this, but it isn't outstanding natural beauty. It is green belt.
Sorry.
It's the same. I mean, in as much as it is building on green belt, but the point is that there are existing buildings there, and that makes it much more difficult to oppose because it's will be seen as permitted development of some sort, a bit like the barbecue.
Well, that's my point. We've got a barbecue that looks suspiciously like a bloody house now.
Well,
so that's an existing building,
and that will go through because there was a building there before, which was a building that, in inverted commas, was accommodation. In other words, it was a livable in building. Now, I know this one isn't, but what has, what's the word, irritated me or frustrated me more than anything is in this area, not only Flampstead, but Markyate too, there are a lot of buildings like stables that are being put up where a horse never darkens the door. And then within a year, and the same with woodman's huts in so-called in the woods, which are permitted. And then within 4 years of them being there, they then put in for change of use into a house. So it is exploitation of what is permitted. That's the trouble. I've got a case at the moment in Markyate where a very, very smart looking stable block has been set up just opposite. And the enforcement officer is looking at that now because nobody's said anything before, but it was built for stables. And there was the parking was for a horse box. There's not a horse box there, not a single horse been there.
Okay. Sandra, did you have something to say? I timed that perfectly.
Yeah. Sorry. I just say that when I read it, it looked like they were using the footprints of other outbuildings as well to make up the overall area that they're taking up for the new dwelling. So I think because otherwise they wouldn't be able to do it. There is quite strict rules about how much you can use and how much you can increase the existing. So they would have been using that, and that's what they said in their narrative about it. So I think the only thing you can say is the planning officer satisfied that there is enough of the existing buildings to justify this size dwelling.
Be interesting to know how long those existing buildings have been there.
That would be the only kind of planning comment you could make, really, because if there is, then there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. So, with those comments in mind, are we all no objection? I'll just have a little show of hands just to be sure. Thank you. Okay. Good. So the second one is proposed conversion of existing garage into habitable use. Now this is the cottage close. In actual fact, it's Nancy's parents' place. So I had a little look at it earlier. Personally, I don't think there's any issue. But does anybody have any comment?
No.
So are we all no objection on this one? We have a show of hands. Yeah. Good. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Full installation of 2 sets of double gates on the southern boundary. Okay, we know what this one is.
Vince, there's a funny noise every time you speak. I don't know if anyone else is getting it, or is it me? It's like
It's a bit of distortion, Vince, when you speak.
yeah.
Okay. Is that any better?
No.
Oh.
Because other people's mics are on. If your mic isn't muted, then it makes it more difficult.
It's better it's better if you do mute yourself if you're not speaking. I am quite possibly struggling with internet because I'm obviously streaming this to YouTube at the same time through my internet connection. So it could be that, but am I understandable enough? Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Yes, it's just not being pleasant.
Yeah. Lots of people say that about me, Caroline.
I don't believe it.
I can't help it. Okay, so yes, the gates. Any comments from anyone? Jane, yeah.
I definitely oppose to these, and I think my main reason for objecting on this is the fact that they were put in without planning and planning permission, and when the planning enforcement officers at Dacorum were going to ask Herts County Council if they would put cement blocks in front of the gates to prevent them being used, given they haven't had planning. It was rejected on the basis it wouldn't be unsafe if the cement blocks were then pushed into the road. So if it's not safe to have cement blocks there, it certainly isn't safe for traffic to be going in and out of there onto the A5183. So I think that it's, on whatever reason, it's just not safe to have traffic coming out onto that road. I think it is a slight convex bend. Anyway, that's my view.
Okay, thank you. Tony? You're still muted.
Sorry, I thought I'd click on it. There we go. Okay. I agree with what James just said, and I'll put my objection to Caroline on exactly the same basis. Highway safety concerns around egress from that, should that actually ever become a form of access, it's on a bend, it's in a dangerous position. Yeah, don't support that at all.
Okay, good. Objection for everybody? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, new agricultural storage farm at 3 Fields, Stelmrand Lane. Any thoughts on this one? I mean, personally, I looked at it and I thought the reason that they're building it is perfectly viable. That you know, they want to own their own building, so they don't have to rely on selling the business from under them. So are we all? Sorry,
Yeah,
yes,
I agree.
Jane.
Yeah.
Look, I just say it's already there, and it's absolutely massive. It's the one that's already built, so it's a big green one.
Yeah. Okay. Jane?
Well, in the submission, he basically is a farmer that's been renting out other barns, which mostly have now been converted by the owners into properties. And so he no longer has access to those barns and he wants to continue with agriculture. And it seems to me that that location, whilst I agree with Caroline, it's a huge barn, it's not very obvious from, you know, it's not seen by many people driving around. It's quite concealed, really.
Yeah. Okay. So for no objection then? Everyone, no objection? Yeah. Sam, you.
I don't have any objection, but I'm just really frustrated that it's another retrospective. I mean, I didn't realise that when I looked at this. I thought it looks a very big barn, but it's in a position where it's not particularly seen or overlooked. But now I hear it's a retrospective.
Yeah.
It's just annoying.
These things are frustrating, but as the planning officer said to us at the last event that we attended, they actually don't mind the retrospectives. They say actually sometimes it can be helpful.
But yeah, no objection.
Okay, thank you. Sandra, did you have something to add to it? You're on mute.
The application is retrospective. The application should say it's a retrospective application. I didn't read that anywhere. So I don't know if that's worth pointing out from our objection.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry to do it.
You're muted, Caroline.
I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure it's the one up on the hillside. Can't be another one there. So if I agree, it doesn't say it in the statement, design statement. It says quite clearly it is proposed that A, B, and C. It doesn't make it clear that actually it's already gone up.
I think pointed out to that, or before we actually all agree to it, then just ask for clarification as to whether this is a new application or whether this is a retrospective application, because as it reads at the moment, because if it is retrospective, then they've made the wrong application and it's not valid.
Okay.
I agree that I didn't realise this was retrospective. I thought because the plans it shows you are like drawings, they're not pictures of the thing. So I would have thought that that if they haven't said it's a retrospective and it is already up, do we know who knows it's already up? Samantha, is that it?
No, it was Caroline that thought it was already up.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
You can see it. It's massive, yeah. Because I asked, do you mute it, Jane, or is it?
You sure it's not one that's already there? Another one? This isn't another one.
Well, I mean, I must say I noticed it. I think it's quite a big blot on the landscape, and I appreciate the reasons why he needs it. You know, perfectly valid. But I know some people who live on Dalmorane Lane, because I asked them, where is this? And they said, oh, it's that big one up on the hill that's already there. Yeah. So, and then, well, I can get clarification. Maybe
So
they're having
can we
to
agree
put
that on
another
the grounds that it is the for the one that's already there, we have no objection. Yeah, Sandra.
I think we should just ask for clarification as to whether this is a proposed new building or a retrospective application for a building that's already there before we actually make that decision, because that's new information to us. Because as far as we were all concerned, there wasn't there.
Can we agree to delegate this then to Caroline? If she finds out that information, lets us know by email, and we just give her our response. Yeah. Okay. Good. Right. Two side extensions, one rear extension, and construction of a porch at Cherry Tree Lodge. Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, much as I hate to agree to it, I don't actually think it looks too bad. But any thoughts on this?
I don't think it's very easy to object to it, unfortunately,
No,
because
no.
it's already been established that there is a building there which is a habitable building.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult, and I don't think it's not huge, and it's single story, isn't it? So
Yeah, it's fitting.
It's a lot larger though than what's already there, though, isn't it, Jane? If you compare the two drawings, the thing that's already there is just a box with a door at the front. The new stuff.
Perhaps you should put in a query as to whether it's more than the whatever percentage is you're allowed to build, but you're allowed to build so much without planning application, aren't you? So this is obviously more. So that's why he's put in a planning application. So we can oppose it on the basis it's much bigger than what was there, but I still don't think that will prevent him going ahead. Or the
But
that was Sandra.
I think we can object on the basis of scale and size in relation to the existing building, just so that we put our objection in there. And I think that's a valid objection that we put in, that we're concerned about the size and volume and the personality to it. I think we need to sort of have a good reason. So it's, you know, size and scale are one, because it is much bigger than what's there, and there isn't any other buildings to cash in.
Do we actually know who owns? Do we know who owns the building that's there at the moment?
Yeah, Shayla, Mr. Shayla.
He owns it, does he?
Yeah.
He actually owns that one in real life.
Is there any traction in the fact that he's had so many other applications which are either retrospective or, for example, the enforcement order that wasn't paid any attention to? No traction there at all with this.
No, you can't.
There's a different application, and that's on the chicken coop. So it wasn't.
Yeah, I know, but just generally. Also, what about the fact that it was allegedly habitable, but it's basically a barbecue shelter?
No, they
touching at straws.
We ended up.
When the planning officer went to see it, he said that it was a habitable. So in other words, from the planning point of view, that is that. And I don't think it's worth making a huge fuss about this, because I don't think we're going to get anywhere with it. We've got plenty of other things that will be coming up with this particular person, with the chicken coop and the gates on the field, and indeed the acquisition of that land in with his land that he actually really does own, by taking down the whole hedge line there. So I think there are other issues that may be worth other battles, shall we say?
It's also,
I think frankly, much as I hate to say it, I actually think it is quite a lot bigger, but I actually think it would fit in quite well there personally. But bottom line is, significant to add. What are we going to do?
Could we add no further development on this site? Would we, because he might just stick something else up or extend it again.
To rescind their permitted development rights, wouldn't we? Okay, so can we have a vote for no objection, but with the proviso that we rescind their permitted development rights? No?
I'm not entirely sure that I agree with no objection, Vince, in all honesty. I do object to this. I think he's just trying to continually to pull wool over our eyes. It's a larger development than what's already there. It's still greenbelt land, effectively, that he's looking to expend upon. Yeah. Along with the change of actually use from a a barbecue shelter to a residential area, again, alongside the chicken coops, increased noise to the neighbours. So on that basis, I personally
Okay,
disagree.
so who's for objection? Okay. Okay, so we're objecting. So yes, Sandra, Jason, so
Yeah, can I just say, because if we do object, then it goes to planning council, doesn't it? And
yeah,
the committee have to then look at it properly. Which I
they
think
do, yeah.
is
Yeah.
properly.
And you know how well they look at those.
Yeah. Okay, right. Thank you.
So objection for in terms of scale and size and scale.
It's not,
Changes.
it's not commensurate with the green belt and then of the existing building. The size and scale is too large. In green belt, then there are no other buildings to.
Yeah.
That's the right word. Cash in on that.
And I think there seems to be too much development around that site as it is as well. Okay, moving on. So. Holtzmere Farm.
That's just am I muted? Can you hear me? I can't see. Yeah, so that's just external materials and hard and soft landscaping. So the actual replacement dwelling was granted. I just don't think they've.
So I assume we've no objection to that. Everyone agree? The show of hands. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the showground. This is St Albans one. 125 days of events. Sounds quite fun. Any thoughts on this one?
Well, it could be noisy. If not, traffic.
I didn't have any objection. They've put some sort of big screen up there, haven't they? Like a massive.
It's a drive-in cinema.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just think, well, in where we are now in these active times, if anyone's being entrepreneurial and stuff, they couldn't have the heart show. They need income, so I have no objection. But
Well, that's not easy, isn't it?
I have no objection either. I think it's something it's an advantage to our area
Yeah,
having
I agree.
agricultural showground, and we're fortunate, I think, in many ways to have that. So
Yeah.
I really don't feel, and I don't know whether 125 days a year is just a repeat application that they have to make. I presume. I don't know whether they've increased it. I wouldn't have thought so, but anyway.
I don't think there's events going on 125. Doesn't seem to be that busy, does it? Not 125 days.
Well, there probably used to be car boot sales every Sunday. That maybe counts as an event.
Maybe. Okay, so no objection.
Do you have anything to add to that?
All I would say is it's just noise. It's about 125 days of which are the ones are going to be pop festivals and the big things in the evening. Because I know last year, I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been one of the, but certainly if the wind is the wrong direction, then it can be quite noisy till quite late in the evening. So, but like you say, 125 days could be just car boot sales on a Sunday, which is perfectly fine. But if it's
So there will be some festivals, because there's the Meraki Festival, that's what you're referring to, that's in August, which is 3 days. And it was noisy, because I was there one night. Because I'm a rock chick. My annual rock chick.
Did you go and see 10cc? They were amazing.
Good.
Indeed.
So works to lime trees at Chevel's house. I assume that's information only. Yeah.
I know that may be information only, but they are taking it back 2.5 metres. That's about 6 foot all the way around. That's quite a lot, isn't it? Well, I don't know. But I presume that's just because it's a TPO. You have to get planning for that, and the woodland or whatever his name is officer will have to go and look.
Yeah. Okay, good. Planning decisions taken by DBC, 20 acres cottage granted. The school swimming pool refused, and the land next to Delaware grants. Planning applications received in the last 6 days. Sorry, Sandra, did you want to?
Yeah, just on the school pool, I think I did say something on an email about whether we should start interacting with the school on that a bit. Maybe we could have that as an agenda point next time. You know, what are their plans now? Because one of the reasons that because there wasn't interaction with the community as for it was one of the reasons for the refusal. So I just thought maybe, you know, as I think we objected, so that maybe we should be trying to interact with the school to find a solution to it and potentially, you know, put some funding towards it or something.
Jane, yes.
Yeah, could we ask, do we know why it was refused? Because that would be
You're muted,
interesting to
Caroline. You're
Muted.
muted. Hang on. Okay, could you repeat that, Caroline? No.
What am I? Oh, no. I didn't look, but I can do so quickly now. If you talk amongst yourselves.
What do people
Um,
about that?
got the application here.
Do you think we should?
I remember for the last time that we spoke, Tim and I actually were of the opinion that the school wanted this space, they wanted their own plans to develop that, and we were happy to support on the basis that the school, as a governing body, had made that decision that was in their best interests. It's not actually a community space, it's issues around the access to it, and on that basis we were happy to leave it with the school and agreed to support it. I know that wasn't the view that was held by everybody. I just wanted to reiterate that point.
I agree, Tony. I don't think it's got anything to do with us, as I said before.
Does that mean you're saying that you don't think we should interact with the school? I just think that the community, because quite a few people mentioned to me that they were upset about it. So I think, you know, as the Parish Council, we represent the community. We should be looking at how we interact with the school, even if it's for support or whatever. I don't know, but we are in this. We are in this situation now.
I certainly spoke to the
So it's Mrs. Jones the head, didn't you?
not the head. I spoke to the
Governor?
Governor, yeah, the
Chris
head.
Carlson? Was it Chris Carlson you spoke to, the school governor?
I can't remember. Anyway, I did have.
Was it Mary Jenkin? Would it have been?
That's it, Mary Jenkins. Yeah, I did have a chat with her at the time, and she was essentially saying that the governors are very well aware of not only the issues facing the school, but also the feeling around the pool, but that they had very good reasons to do what they did. I mean, it didn't sound to me at the time like they would particularly welcome people sticking their nose in, to be honest. But you know, it's not that I disagree, but I think they are happy that they are making the right decisions as governors. But I mean, by all means, we can talk to them.
I don't see the harm in potentially just offering some help, or you know, making clear that we have to interact with them as representing the other elements of the community, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm quite happy to make that approach, Vince. I mean, I'm in there practically every day, assisting and doing sort of like the support for the teachers and the kids. So I'm quite happy to make the offer and see what it is that they would like from us, if anything at all. And if we sort of present it as that way, from us, how can we help them? Then I think that's us showing that we're trying to engage the parties and doing the right thing.
Everybody agree? Okay.
Okay, I can't find it.
If you can give me an action for that, please, Caroline.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Oh, sorry.
So just while you're looking at that, Caroline, was there another application that was? Did you say that there was another application that got slid in somewhere or not? No, make that up. Hang on.
I think it was just the tree one that came in last.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. Good. Okay, third tranche of leader fund received, 48,957.33 pence. That's very good. So that's the lot. We've had all our money. Now we've just got to find a way of getting people into the building. Working group reports. Okay, Sandra, do you want to give us the lowdown?
So we I don't know if people have read the correspondence that I sent out this afternoon today, but so Graham, or the contract administrator, has gone through John's claims. He's in dispute with him about a couple of items where he feels John hasn't necessarily given the savings that he made originally he was going to be giving us. But he has issued another certificate. So all the additional items that we discussed last time to finish all the work have actually been issued in the next certificate payment. So John will be paid up front, if you like, for all of those items. But we do have with the retention money that we have and the car park side of life and the external lighting is still kind of being resolved. So we do have, I think it's about £10,000 still, no, 12,000, so £12,000 still outstanding with John in relation to those. But part of that is the actual retention money that was part of his contract that when we did the JCT contract with him. He agreed to 5% being retained for 6 months after the build. So that's all part of that. So we're not holding any money back from him other than the sort of discussions we're having about how much should be refunded on the car park, because at the moment John's stance is that there isn't anything, which is rather different to what we were told originally. But hopefully he's going to go back and finish all the outstanding works. I understand from some Tony knows all that was for me, but the cricket are talking about a potential match in mid-July or something. I don't know, it's not been confirmed or anything, but I just feel like we need to get it finished. So, you know, I just feel like suddenly we're all going to be allowed to do stuff and we go, oh, the pavilion's not finished. So I'm just trying, hopefully John will go and finish it all off this week. Obviously the gas has been sorted out, the burglar alarms in and all the flooring's done. So we're pretty much...
Sandra, I'm finding it quite difficult to hear you. I don't know whether there's more people who are unmuted or something, but you're coming and going.
Okay, can you hear me now? I'm a bit closer.
It is a bit difficult. Yeah, I couldn't catch everything you said.
Oh, okay. Don't know what to do about that. I'll put my volume up. My volume's on full. Can you hear me a bit better now?
Yeah, if you come a bit nearer, that seems to help. Yes.
So yeah, you know, it's pretty much there. We should be sorted out. Hopefully, yeah, John's finishing those last works off, and then hopefully by the end of next week we should be finished. And then the clock will go on. We've got the clock. Caroline's got the clock. We're all eager to see that. And then we just need to sort out what we're going to do around the back with the wild planting and stuff like that. So that's another thing. But then yeah, we're done. So it's very exciting, really. Oh, right. There's only one other issue is with the doors to the changing room aren't great. So I've got to raise that with parcels, but they have been really good. And actually coming back, they came back and sorted out another issue that was not right. So I just need to get them to sort that out. I shouldn't think would be a problem.
Good,
so,
thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Caroline, Caroline had raised about
Contract.
the outside varnished or painted or whatever they're going to do with it, which I think is yeah, it's the right time to do it. The Personal said that if we would just wanted to kind of put a seal on it, keep it in the wood colour as it were, so the colour it is right now, which I think is a really nice colour. If we seal that colour now, that's the colour it will stay, rather than painting it green or black or whatever. And if we do that, it kind of will the longevity will be better than actually painting it a colour. And I think it looks a really lovely colour right now. So don't know what other people feel about that. We need to get some quotes, I guess, for doing that. Yeah, the other thing is to just leave it. It will just carry on weathering down. But they do say that the longevity of the building is better if you do put some sort of sealant on it once it's settled down, so and dried out a bit, which it has now. So so they recommended doing it around July, August time, putting a seal on it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, perhaps if we can get that, if we can get a quote for it, and we can talk about it next time and just decide whether that's what we want to do. And we also have the contract and contract for the pavilion and the recreation ground to be drawn up. Caroline.
Yes, can I just say we need to put, I don't know how much it costs to paint or seal the building, but we'll probably need to put that to tender. So because it might be a significant amount. I know if there's large things we have to do that. So if I get an idea of what it might cost, then we'll know whether it comes within the above the threshold.
Something like about £5,000.
Yeah, so in which case I think that'll be a tender job. And the other thing is the football posts, which are currently on the field. I think someone's obviously broken off one of the padlocks because they were sort of tied together with quite secure locks. Anyway, they've been opened out, and I think people have been playing football, which is fine. But the Harpenden football Colts who own the post are a bit concerned from the safety point of view because they are very heavy if they were to be moved or not somehow knocked over. So they said they're going to get another padlock, and I said perhaps they could store them between the two buildings because then it's off the grass, and the cricketers, if they do start, will need to have the football pitches goals moved anyway. So is that all right if that happens? Is everyone okay on that? Okay, great.
I just wanted to say that I was really concerned to read that the things like the doors and things weren't fitting properly when they'd only, they're brand new. I thought it was really worrying that we spent a lot of money and maybe that we're not getting good quality things like that. For them to be warping and things already doesn't sound to me to be really very good, very reassuring.
I think the problem we had is that you meant to get a coat of paint or varnish or whatever on the doors as soon as you can, but because it was raining so much, we had a problem with getting them sealed. John didn't do it or couldn't do it quick enough, as it were. So it has all been resolved. So and they have come back and resolved everything. So some of it wasn't quite what we wanted, but they've come back and changed the doors and put new doors on and things. So I don't think it's a problem. It doesn't represent the building as such. It's just an unfortunate set of circumstances.
But is that the doors to the changing rooms or the doors to the emergency exit? Because the ones for the changing rooms, I couldn't lock them. I couldn't close the left-hand one the other day without locking it because the catch doesn't come out, and you can see through the gaps, so they have sort of spread warped quite a lot, more than you'd expect, even if they hadn't been painted immediately. And the guy apparently had said to John that someone said, they just use, they've had a lot of problems with doors, so they should hopefully change them.
Yeah, exactly that they are being
changed. They agreed to change them.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they're being changed and they have changed the other doors. So.
Okay, good.
Okay, oh, great.
Thank you. And also the lottery grant that we didn't get. So we're going to need to buy tables and chairs and what have you. So are we going to propose something at the next meeting for that? Or are we going to come up with some ideas? And yeah, Sandra.
Well, I think Caroline's got some numbers in that, and ideally we could do this sort of approving something today, because otherwise it's going to be another month before we get them, and as I say, potentially it's suddenly going to be you can open it and we won't have the furniture in there, so ideally we'll get something.
Caroline?
The other alternative was that Terry said to try for a community grant via Dacorum Borough Council, which I've been looking at, and that's has to be, they want it to come under the sort of headline of the Hertfordshire Year of Culture. So to be fair, I'm struggling a little bit to bend it towards culture. I'm trying my best. I know that we could have the heritage angle slightly and the culture in that we can do craft sessions or sport, so I might be able to wangle it a bit. And if Terry manages to have anything to do with it, he might look at it favourably. I don't know if he's on the panel, but he sort of hinted to do it. So I don't know if that's worth it. Or the cost, I think it's about £3,500 is what we want. It's not a massive amount of money.
Okay. Are we?
So as we had the £10,000 grant, the COVID £10,000 grant, which I think is running it, but we don't have any running costs at the moment. That would be in some ways a good use of that, because it is going to the use of the building, and then we put those.
Okay, how do we feel about proposing a maximum of £4,000 to be spent on tables and chairs? Is everybody happy with that? Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. The warden.
So can we have an actual proposal in a second, so I get it, as it's a lot of money. So if you can,
Sandra and I, yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, so the warden painted the trough, bench, board, and lamppost opposite the 3 blackbirds. Yeah, he's going to go around and do. Actually, I did say to him, and I don't know if he told Mark, but he was supposed to be doing the weeding as a matter of course. I don't know why they thought they had to ask, because last year we told them to do it. But, sorry, Jane, did you have something to say there? You're on mute.
You missed out Luton Airport report.
Ah, sorry.
And doesn't matter, I'll do it after the weeds, after the warden, I mean.
Yes, Sandra.
Just pulling out of River Hill. I think Terry sort of was going to ask Terry, but the verge is getting very overgrown again, so it's quite dangerous. You can't quite see the traffic on the main road. It's becoming quite dangerous because it's grown up so high. So I don't know whether it's something the warden can cut down, or whether we need to speak to Terry about it. I think Terry's in there last year, but
Is it the landowner?
Third is side of the but that's side. So as you go trying to get out of River Hill onto the main road, it's on the right hand side.
Right.
Quite dangerous.
So is that the verge on the actual A5, more or less?
Yes.
Because I know that I'm not sure if the warden can, not that he can't do it, but because from a safety point of view, I don't know if they like to do strim along there. So it's it might be more of a highway thing, so I can mention it to Terry.
Yes.
Just be
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think I'll check. Because it's no longer an A road.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. Yes, Luton Airport.
I wanted to say well done, Sandra, for with the pavilion. think, must be, you know, you'll be glad when the end gets there, I'm sure. The Luton Airport, obviously, the brilliant thing about Luton Airport is it's not flying very much at the moment, so that's lovely. All of us are really enjoying the peace and quiet. I did go to a meeting, virtual meeting, just a few days ago on a noise and track committee for the airport, and a lot of the planning applications and things are being, and a lot of things are being held up, should we say, and put back because of COVID. But the one thing that were being queried were their stats on the quieter aircraft, the NEOs, as they're called, and these aircraft are supposedly supposed to be so many decibels, but the actual quieter, but the actual recordings show that there is virtually very little difference. So a lot
Can you speak up? There's a plane going over. I can't hear you.
Oh dear. I should think if you're in your attic, you're closer to it. Anyway, so those are the sort of questions. So nothing is really progressing at the moment. We've got the airspace design, that's sort of held up, waiting for other airports to get involved and put forward their plans. The second part of that has been deferred, but for Luton Airport, but they're putting in their second gateway to get through the gateway in August. But you know, they don't obviously think things are going to get back to normal really quickly, but they're obviously hopeful that they will in the end. Well, I'm quite hopeful they will.
Sorry, Jane, what did you mean about the gateway?
It's the airspace, looking at the changing the airspace systems. You have to go through certain levels to show what you need and what you know what you can achieve.
This is for the arrivals. Is that what you're talking about? The new changing the new holding bay.
It could be the arrivals, yes.
Yeah,
but it's all, yes. And so this is, and the application for the expansion is on hold at the moment.
Jane, did you go any further with Tony about the air quality?
I haven't spoken to him to ask him whether he got any more data from that, actually. Perhaps I could ask him now.
Yeah, I've been looking at it. Funnily enough, whilst there's been no planes, it has been quieter. I've got sort of like the blocks of data just from the particulate side of things I looked at. I mean, there's no real surprises there other than the two highest peaks, which are like double the normal particulate matters. Both were prior to lockdown, and subsequently, since Wizz Air have actually been operating again, or EasyJet, I think they've flown a couple out. But there's been no great discrepancies, to be honest, and all the data indicates that they are within the acceptable range, for want of a different term, according to the stats that we're given. So yeah,
that's a bit sad, depressing. Dacorum Borough Council, I approached them to ask whether they would put in some air pollution monitors, but they wouldn't. They won't. Not at the moment, because of course people can't go out to put the monitors in, all that sort of thing. That's the excuse anyway. But so we're not getting really very far with this, I don't think. This it seems, I know there's been a monitor in Markyate, and that has always recorded air pollution levels within whatever is acceptable. But that's in the centre of Markyate. But there isn't one in Flamstead, and I felt there should be one, given the fact that we've got planes, not only planes, but the M1 not that far away either. Anyway, so at the moment, we're obviously not going to get very far with that. But thank you, Tony, for trying.
Okay. Thanks very much. Okay, notice board, Parsons Close.
So Vince, can I just, on a point of order, we got pavilion management, we haven't mentioned, contract for use of pavilion and rec to be drawn up. Did I miss that?
Did we know something in particular about that?
Well, it's just that in order for anyone to use the pavilion, we need a contract drawn up for all use, individual usage, and the for the cricketers and the footballers as well should have one in case they want to use it. You know, so we know exactly. You know, we can't just hand out keys and not have a contract in place.
So are you thinking? I mean, are you thinking that we?
So I mean, I've got some documents. I've got some documents we used before, so we could, you know, that could underpin whatever we want to do going forward. And I can put something together and circulate it. But I do think, as I'm aware, the cricketers want to, perhaps, you know, that suddenly they could start playing and then we'll have nothing in place.
Yeah.
We just need to cover ourselves, obviously. Pardon?
Do you think we should arrange a meeting with Martin and maybe Tony and Charlie to just discuss what the contract should be?
I think we need to have a meeting, certainly with the chairman and that's the is there a treasurer, Tony?
There is indeed. Yeah.
Is that you as well?
No, that's not me. No, that's Dave Rogers.
Right, so it'd be good to, yeah. I think we need to put the bones of it together. So obviously we can't just cobble it together on the night. So I think that would be crucial to know exactly where we are.
Okay. If you give us a sort of a couple of dates as to when yourself and somebody else from the committee is available, and then I'll see what I can do to get Martin and Twiggy together and see what we can agree.
Yeah, because if we can do that and have it all done and dusted and agreed on by the July meeting, then life will be rosy.
Yeah. Sorry, James,
you got something?
Is it possible that there'll be other recreation areas which would have similar contracts that we could look at, or even PTC might have examples of that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've got the one we had before. I'm unmuted. The one we had before was drawn up with Hillary's legal head on. So we've got quite a lot of, it covered a lot of, you know, usage with licensing and you know, rowdy behaviour and all that sort of thing. So we just really have to make sure it's relevant and then add the users, you know, and get the costing structure in place.
Good idea to have something, a base, before you start to meet.
Oh, definitely. I've got some documents which I'll amend, you know, to take out anything that's irrelevant from the old building, and that can be a starting point.
And I'm sure we can get documents from other parishes and
yeah.
I'm sure
They may have it, but HAPTC might
we do need to do it. We do need to do it very quickly.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, Sandra.
I'm happy to sit on the meeting.
Okay. You're on the management. Anyway.
Yes, I am. So we should be doing it anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
If I could just ask Caroline, please, if you could circulate the document once it's amended, so that I can then give that to Martin and Twiggy and Charlie prior to actual any formal meeting being arranged, and then we'll take it from there. Because I know they were wanted to make representations in relation to potentially getting a license for themselves to run a bar up there on the occasions that they were playing cricket.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. So replacement notice board. Yeah, you obviously saw the research that Caroline did. Personally, I think we should stick with what we've got elsewhere, and I think that was Jane's view as well. But anyone have any other thoughts on that? Yeah, Sandra.
I did wonder whether we should go for the recycled plastic one, if that was going to make it a bit cheaper and be friendly and have a longer. I don't know whether wood or recycled plastic is. So I'm not that.
Personally, I thought that looked a bit cheap, and I personally prefer the wood, but yeah, Jane.
Is it in the conservation area or not?
No.
No.
It's, I mean, we could consider a smaller one, not to have two sides. So that's 8. We don't hardly ever have 8 notices by the general public. It's not used for parish council notices in particularly. So it could be small. I wondered if it could be up against a wall or a fence, so it didn't have to have posts. That would make it cheaper. There's a magnetic board that one chap was mentioning. I think it was just over 1,000, but it's an inordinate amount of money for little sort of itty bitty sort of. I'm having a fete on Tuesday, or it's a Christmas tree festival, when it's advertised to many people electronically, which isn't covering those that aren't electrically connected. But there are 6 notice boards. There's 2 big Cornwall Borough Council ones which are virtually not used. So maybe we could recite one of those. Hey, that's an idea.
Okay.
So, or else put it out there as a sort of competition, say that it's £400 for somebody to come up with a good one that they could make themselves and put up for us, something like that. Or equally, maybe Decorum Borough Council, I think you might have to ask them. I don't know. But it seems to me that the 1,000 or whatever it was plus for these manufactured ones, it must be possible. We've got carpenters and everything else around here who could, I'm sure, would make one up and could do it, you know.
How many thoughts?
Could we put something on Grapevine to see if we do have someone in the village, someone maybe retired that would enjoy that challenge and would like to take that project on?
Yes.
Listen, yeah, I mean, it sounds like that's people think that's a good idea. So I mean, why don't we do that? We'll put something out and just ask the question and see what we get back.
Should we have a budget? Did we say 400? Did anyone? Yeah, like, you know, so we can say, because obviously we need a budget, because it's no good them coming back and saying it's £1,500 because we're back to square one.
I think we do need to say that we're not expecting a free offer, that we're going to pay them. And I think something like if it costs 1,000 to go to a company, then maybe we should be offering £400, £500.
Also, the one that's £1,000, I think, is made of oak, isn't it? Which is, you know, you want a hardwood. Presumably, you don't want people just making stuff out of soft skirting boards and.
I've got something to get from a pallet.
I was going to say, make that of pallets. Yeah, recycle. Yeah, just we can have a new one every year. I think the tricky thing is also if we have to carve out perhaps at Parish Council if we want that on it.
Do we have some spare flooring somewhere?
Yes.
Or we could just be honest and just say, you know, that we've investigated it. It's going to cost us £1,000 to buy a new notice board. If anyone thinks they can do just as good a job for less money, then tell us how and what, and we'll go down that road.
Just out of interest, Vince, sorry to sort of drag it out a little bit, but actually, I know it was raised because it was in a state of disrepair previously, but have we actually been approached by anybody asking to post notices, and have we asked the question as to whether they actually want a notice board there and whether they would be willing to pay the money? Because we're obviously making that decision, but if there's no real appetite for it to be replaced by the parishioners, I'll just throwing good money after bad, so to speak.
It's always a difficult one because you obviously can't go to all the parishioners to ask them about every decision. I think the feeling was that some people did still use it, and I can't remember, somebody here said that they knew for a fact that it was used regularly for something.
Yeah, I know that the mums at the school sort of like quite often will hang around and just have a quick read, but actually whether that's just because they're passing and it's something to have a quick nose at, but actually whether it's utilised or not, whether we've actually posted any notices. I mean, when was the last time, Caroline, somebody else posted a notice on it?
Well, to be fair on that one, they don't have to ask me because it doesn't have a door now, but you just opened it yourself. You didn't need a key, so it's free for anyone to use. But also there's the notice board opposite the 3 blackbirds, which people, well, you need a key for, but they're not secret, you know, that you can buy them, or I put notices up there anyway for people. So, and there's one in Trowley Bottom. There's one, where else is there one? There is a spare one, you know, it makes some sense for the one that's on outside the recreation ground by the roses. There's one there, which is a bit of more of an odd place. Maybe we could relocate that one.
No,
'Cause that's hardly ever used.
is that another one? I thought that was one of the BBC ones.
No, there's that one. That's there too, which is never used, which is a complete waste. And then the other one to the left of the roses, the left of the entrance on Prenders Lane, is very, very rarely used.
Oh. Why don't we move
Because there's
that?
no footpath there, so nobody really walks past it. So maybe use that one
Hmm.
as a thought.
Hi, having gone out and put posters out and things like that, I have put posters in there when we've been marketing stuff.
Yeah.
I have always put posters in all of them.
Yeah.
And, I know the one I have seen people reading while going into the rec, into the car park of the rec. So because quite a lot of people walk in there now, and they just catch their eye. And I
So-
just think it's really important that, you know, yeah, we do rely on everything electronically, but it has been mentioned to me on quite a few occasions that some people are not registered with the Grapevine, and because we're all on it, we just assume everyone's on it, but they're not.
Yeah. No, but
We've question about engagement before and how you know, we really should be trying every single angle to try and get information out to people, because they quite often just don't see the things
Yeah.
they're trying to get
And
across.
I think that middle part of the village, that yes, we've got something in Charlotte Bottom, yes, we've got something on top of the village, and yes, we've got something on Hollybush Lane. But then we should have something in the middle of the village, and then the school and that area is traffic flow. So I actually think it is quite important. And when you are trying to market something, you do, you know, you staple the halls and telegraph poles and everything. But I just think it's important that we do try and communicate in that way, as well as just relying on Grapevine.
I think it's a perfectly valid point. But by the recreation ground, there are ostensibly 2 notice boards. We could use the Dacorum Borough Council one more because it's larger and better, and move the other one, which so you could argue you don't need 2 within a few feet of each other. So if we took that approach, I think that would be quite good.
Okay, let's find out how much it will cost to move that board then, and if it's not too much, we'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, internal audit.
Can I just say the warden painted the trough, which just looks very nice. He took it upon himself to paint the lamppost, the board, and everything else that was there. I think probably the ladies sitting on the bench too, and it all looks very nice. So I thought that was very good of him.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, so we're unable to set the audit date for the internal audit. We don't have to do anything else with the internal audit other than our normal wind down tips. No. The internal audit he normally comes to my house, but it's only today he sent me an email asking for all the information. So he had I'd have all the detail, I had it done by now. So hopefully he'll have all the information and have the audit done by the July meeting, because the overall audit body has given a bit of an extension. So normally they're very strict and you get all sorts of penalties if you don't meet the deadlines, but they're being a little bit more flexible for once. So we just defer it to July. Okay. So we received some payment reports from the 18th of May to the 15th of June.
Yeah, so I sent these all out today. I don't know those of you that are on the finance working group have digested them. There was nothing. I think it's only.
Sorry.
Yes.
Hi. Sorry, I'm maybe not reading it right or something, but or understanding it. But on the we're doing receipts and payments at the moment, aren't we? It says under item 200 pavilion, 1210, cricket income £2,000. Are we still taking that £2,000 this year? Because I thought we agreed not to take it because they're not.
Well, that came. Yeah, that figure comes from the budget, which was set some time ago. So and we can certainly alter that figure if but that was just the budget that was set because that was the expected amount we thought we would be getting. So it doesn't mean that
No, we need to keep that figure, and we just monitor how we do against budget in all of those areas. That's all. That's all.
I see. Okay, thank you. I wasn't quite sure how that works. So okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Caroline, there was just one question I've got on the payments schedule about the clock. I can see there's
Oh, yeah, it's
various
really
money
weird
going
that.
in and out.
Yeah, so what happened there was because we're taking 200, I thought we could use up the EMR that we had for the deposit from years ago, because the cricketers very kindly said we could keep it. So I've taken, and that's how it came out, having put into the system, I just EMR'd them, and that's how it's presented. It's just a bit odd. So it's £200.
I can see what's happened there, but I can't get the number to add up to 542.
No, that's with VAT.
Yeah, plus
so
VAT.
you take off 9040, and it's 400. So it's 452 plus that.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So it's you just cancel out the ones. Yeah. So it's just an odd way of presenting it, but it was nothing to do with me. I just had to.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've cleared those 2 EMRs now for the football deposit and the FCC deposit, which is good. Yeah. Anything else?
Trying to read these. Has everyone read them, or shall I read them out?
I haven't had a chance to go through them yet, Vince.
Just quickly read them so we've all got it. So we have the clock for the pavilion, 542.40. Caroline Freer, £835 salary. EDF energy for the pavilion electricity was £122.86. Sorry, I'm mixing VAT and non-VAT here. Unity Metrics, £9.85 MailChimp subs. Village Garden Services, £499.50 for May. John Williams, £10,414.69 for the pavilion development invoice number 15. Office use of £160.31, Caroline, which is 12,487.77. Are we all in agreement that that's okay? Yeah, everyone happy? Good. Right. To authorise payments as itemised, consider expenditure against budget report and sign off bank returns to the month end, 31st of May 2020. I don't know how. How did you get on with the bank mandate?
Well, I've sent it in. It's just, has anyone actually gone to the bank? Because if you don't do that, I get nowhere. So I might as well wait. I'm wasting my time. I do need some more signatories.
I promised to go this week, Friday at the
Thank
latest.
you. I mean, ideally, I want David to go because he's round the corner from me. And Samantha, yes, I mean, and also it would be really helpful if you could, Tim, because you are the finance crew. And it's sometimes I need your and sometimes I once they refuse to pass something at the bank because your signature wasn't on it. You've gone all faint. It looks like. So please. It just makes life easy. I'm not always driving over to James and socially distant, throwing the check.
From August, from July, I'm going to be in Milton Keynes virtually every day. So it's going to make it more awkward to come to me as well.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So let me just see.
Do we need a proposal and seconder for the?
Yeah. Oh yes, I was also going to say Graham Bray sent me his bill just about half an hour before the meeting, and I wasn't going to reprint everything. So his will be for about £1,500. So I'll write out his cheque, and if you can sign it, and it'll be added to next month's. But it'll go out as a cheque from I'll put tomorrow's date on it if that's all right, and it can be approved next week, next month.
Yes.
Oh, just to say that the flooring guy, Little Orange Company, is just issuing his invoice for just putting that mat in, which we agreed to the cost at the last meeting, but he'll need a check sort of
Have I had the invoice?
No, I'm sending it to you tomorrow. He
Oh.
addressed it to me, and I asked him if he could readdress it.
Oh, okay.
Responsible for the invoice.
And oh yeah, and I put it on Grapevine because we've got 4 boxes of flooring left, and I had one sort of tentative inquiry, but I don't know if it's worth plugging it again because that'd be so handy not to have to pay for carriage to send it back. Hasn't anyone got a small utility room they'd like to have some nice flooring? It's a good price.
Caroline, I have, and I was considering it. So let me take some measurements of my utility room, and then if you can tell me if it's enough,
Yeah, okay.
because I did consider it. So
It's very nice, I have to say, and
that'd be
it's
perfect.
yeah, it would be great for a utility room.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, measure up then. Fantastic.
Excellent. Good.
So proposer and a seconder.
Okay, Samantha and Sandra.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see when I'm typing. I can't see all your faces. Okay. So you all agreed?
Yeah, all agreed.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Good. Correspondence, email from Roy about rats in the builder's yard. I assume that was all the houses along there suffering from that, are they? I don't know if you went to the quorum, did we? Or
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I went to the environmental health and spoke to them, and they're looking into it and will get back to me. Normally, if it's not on council property, that you have to pay about £60 or something. But as this is, I did explain that they had employed somebody to come in and look at the rat and, you know, see where the rats were coming from, and had put down traps or poison, I don't know which, and that the official felt that there was obviously a major problem. I don't know, I can't remember what the term is for a whole lot of rats anyway, colony or something, in the builder's yard. And so they were going to come back to me when they'd spoken to whoever. And Caroline obviously knows about that too.
yeah.
Well, I also told the developers, but I've heard nothing from them.
I'm really surprised about that.
It's not everywhere though. I asked the people at number 12, which is Jennifer O'Leary, they live on the left of the entrance, and they said they haven't seen any rats, but they do have a Jack Russell, so you might deter them somewhat.
Mistaken identity.
Yes.
Okay. Email protection of nesting birds and wildlife. Hedge cutting on hold. Yeah, I think that's a valid thing to put on the grapevine. Just to remind people that they shouldn't really be cutting hedges this time of year. Yeah, Jane?
I don't know who this email came from. Did it come from somebody in Valley Lane?
Yes.
Yeah, because she came up to see us, Terry and myself, at the surgery before the lockdown. And I did get in touch with the Dacorum Borough Council, who do verge cutting and this sort of thing. And they said, well, in any case, because of the lockdown, the verges were unlikely to be cut very much anyway. So that was you know, it actually happened as she wished. And whilst there is a point that she was saying that some of these verges are being cut so short that the cars and things are driving onto them, and the ground and the earth is not being held together because there isn't enough vegetation. But I think that, so I have said that would they, in the case of lanes, not cut them down so hard that there's no wildlife protection or protection of the earth itself from falling down into the road. So I have put in that plea. The other thing to mention is I've had another application by somebody on Hollybush Lane saying that the hedges have grown over so much that the cars are getting scratched. And Terry got involved as well, and the Herts County Council, oh no, it's Dacorum Borough Council, and I got in touch with Dacorum Borough Council, said, no, it's Herts County Council. So there we are. That's the situation there at the moment. I don't know who does the hedges normally. It's not a warden thing, I presume.
No, they're quite high there, and I've discussed it with Terry, and he said the same. He thinks now that Dacorum Borough Council should do it. But there's also a guy who I did a verge audit with, and he may be somebody if he's still employed at Herts County Council, maybe somebody worth contacting, because it's quite dangerous there, because the buses have to move out into the centre of the road, and then anything coming up gets sort of pushed onto the verge. It's quite dangerous.
It seems dangerous.
Dacorum have said it's not them.
It's crazy, you know, it's this fight it's a battle constantly between who has to cut the trees down. At the end of the day, the government's paying, so it doesn't really matter. But there you go. But back to Veronica.
Otherwise, perhaps it would be worth our while trying to broker something maybe between us and both of the councils, because I think that does need some attention down there. It's quite dangerous.
Yeah, they're quite high there. A lot of it's the trees that are coming over. So I don't know if it's the people who own the land on the side whose trees have got a little bit out of control.
I think they're actually on the verge, but nobody's going to agree to take ownership of it.
No, wait, no.
Need to do something.
Oh, I think his name was Neil someone. But going back to the lady in Valley Lane, she was also worried because she'd seen a house down Mill Lane quite drastically cut their hedges. So it's more for the net rather than verges. She wasn't talking to me about verges, more than the hedges affecting the nesting birds, because they'd been cut back. They had a tractor there, this particular house. She was very concerned.
Well, maybe somebody can put something out on Grapevine, but basically if somebody owns a hedge, they can cut it, can't they? I don't think there's
I think that message you sent to me for the Grapevine was quite nice. I think that would be an adequate reminder for people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time I just don't think that they consider it, you know.
No, they don't realise. Okay.
Okay, good. Discussion reservation of tennis court for basketball practice. Oh yes, that's right. That girl that was being coached. Yeah, I mean, we did. I don't know how many of you were on the parish council when we actually decided that the tennis should take priority over anything else, because what we found at the time, I think, was that the net kept being removed and damaged, and then we had to keep having it, you know, fixed, and it was just a perpetual kind of cost and annoyance of the net being removed and replaced. So we decided that tennis would remain within the season. The only, or not the only thing that should be played, but it should take priority over anything else. So these girls actually came from Markgate to use the basketball hoops, and they were being trained. I can't remember the selection process that they got through, but they were being trained by a world basketball. And when she spoke to me, she said actually the reason they're using it is because, of course, normally they would be coached indoors and they'd hire a court, but of course you can't do that at the moment. So she was essentially asking whether we could show conveniency at this time. And I think, you know, Caroline made a good point that obviously they do come from Markgate. They don't actually contribute anything towards the upkeep of the courts. So if the local people who do contribute and do want to play tennis, you know, turn up, what is the protocol? So I don't know. Does anyone have any thoughts on this? Are they all muted, Caroline?
The lady said that she was, you know, happy to pay apart from anything else. The lady, not the girl who was practicing, but the woman that clearly organises it, who'd phoned me up in the first instance. But she didn't say they were professional coaches. They just said, "Oh, can we use the basketball hoop?" So I just said, "Yes, of course." But tennis had to take priority, and then the sign is now up that says that. But anyway, it's up to you. I just feel it could potentially be an increase of, you know, I mean, it might just be a palaver. If they're not, it's not going to last very long. Is it worth bothering? But if somebody wants to play tennis and they were doing that, they wouldn't, you know, be awkward to ask them to move off because they're clearly set up, you know, as a professional arrangement. Or they could reserve it for whenever they want it.
You know, she did say that she would obviously be paying for a court ordinarily, but that would be a usable court rather than a court with a tennis net in the middle of it. So they were.
Oh, but she also said, Vince, that they can't have many people there. They can only have two at either end because of the social. So they don't need the whole court.
Yeah, true. So I mean, you know, should we suggest that they do that they book it and just make a contribution towards the upkeep, or do we just say that it's a public facility that should be free to use? Sandra.
Have they actually stopped other people using it? So when they're in their training, have they actually said, "Oh, get out of here"? Not get out of here. But
No, they've said that nobody else has turned up to play tennis so far. Jane.
But some of the other kids do play, and you know, I've seen kids that are playing basketball and various things as well. So not just tennis. So it sounded like she was saying that she needed all of it to do their training, and which is kind of fine. I'm a bit two ways on this, but if other people are not able to use it when they're in there, then yes, I think she should pay for it. But if they're happy for other people to be in there, then it's just people being in there.
Yeah, we could give her the option, perhaps. Jane, did you have?
When I wrote in, and Caroline sent this round, this question, I think that it should be a court that should be able to be booked, and so you should be able to book it for an hour or whatever, 2 hours, and pay for it, and then that court is yours for that time. And whether it's basketball, I mean, they won't be playing basketball all day, will they? It will presumably be once a day, maybe early in the morning or something when most other people aren't playing. I don't know, but it seems to me that if there's not any booking there, why say no, they can't when it's available and they might pay for it. It's a good way of earning some money to pay for its maintenance. I mean, I think Caroline mentioned the lines need redoing and this sort of thing. So, and equally, you know, to in the long run replace the net at some stage, because nets don't, even if they're not abused, tend to deteriorate with weather and so on. So I think it would be easy. I would have thought reasonable to set up a system where you can book online, or you can book, say, I don't know, but I'm sure there are other ways of doing it. But I belong to a tennis club, and we book online. And I also think that it's. I think it was mentioned it should be Flampstead only. I think that's a little bit mean, because Markio don't have a tennis court, and it would be. You know, if people are able to book, then it seems to me that's fair enough. It's on a first come, first serve. And I don't know how much people have noticed, whether there's a huge rush to play tennis, but it doesn't sound like there is.
No.
So.
Yes, I would favour just keeping it really simple. I don't think we should charge for it to be used. I don't think that's fair. And I don't think we should have a booking system, because I think that adds complexity and someone's got to manage it and oversee it. I just think that we let her know that it's a tennis court and tennis comes first. If she turns up, she lets the people finish her match, and she limits her time to an hour or half an hour. Doesn't interfere with the tennis net, and leaves when she's finished.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts?
Yeah, my views are very much in line with Tim's. Personally, I think any sporting facility, if we can, should make it free for all, regardless of who's using it, just promote healthy living and that side of things. I think the booking is a major issue, because it does become problematic around the management, and there's always a cost to introducing a booking system, and it's then how you prioritise that. So I'm quite happy for them to turn up and play. I walk past it most mornings on a dog walk when they've been there. They've been there early doors. There's been nobody else around using it. I've got no qualms with it. I think if you're on it, you're on it. And the sort of good grace is that you have it for as long as you are on it. Ideally, if somebody asked you if you've been there for a couple of hours whether you could move on, well then that's sort of a matter of civility as to whether you choose to or not. We're not enforcing. We haven't got sort of like tennis court police. And I suggest we leave it this way at the moment.
Okay, everybody think that that's the way forward?
I agree. Keep it simple. I think at the moment, if it becomes problematic, then fine. We might have to look at something else. But if it's not a problem,
Okay.
we'll complicate it.
I didn't hear it, but bless you, Samantha. Okay, good.
So we just have just a clear agreement on that then.
Yeah, so we're agreeing that they are subject to being using it for a limited period of an hour or two. So then we're happy for them to use it without charge, and we can let them know that. Everyone in agreement?
Sorry, could I just say that I am in agreement with that. But if somebody did want to hire it and they were then gaining from it by selling, so like the tennis academy guy who wanted to have the he was then profiting from having it, then I think that should be
I think that was our original concern, was that it was a commercial operation, but it turns out that it wasn't. But absolutely, if it's a commercial operation, I think they should pay you. Good. Okay. Got everything you need, Caroline?
Was there something that you sent out just now, just before the meeting, Vince? Somebody had written in.
Oh, I had a
something about the gas.
Yeah.
Which so I think we just need to reply to them telling them that we. I mean, I assume there isn't really a lot else we can do with that, is there?
It's being done on Friday. It's being taken out on Friday.
Friday, yeah. Okay, we'll just let him know. You're muted, Caroline.
26, Sandra. Yeah.
I mean, is there anything else we can do? Does it need to be made safer? Has it got gas in it, or did they turn it off?
No, it's not going to blow up. If gas, it's been sealed, so no gas will come out of it. If there were to be an escape, it would have to be an awful lot of gas to come out, and the flame would be quite high. I was saying this before, because it needs oxygen to ignite, and so it wouldn't be an explosion at all. And if that barrel's over it, it's only for a short amount of time. It got blown off, I think that was all, in the wind.
Jane.
To add something, is everybody aware? I think there's a census coming up any minute now. The 10-year census. Apparently, not everybody's going to have to respond unless there's been a change of people in each house. So if there are 2 people living in the house in 2010, same 2 people, then they won't have to fill in everything again. But if there's been a change of numbers of people in the house, they will have to. So I think there's been very little about it. I saw something on the Cornborough website, but
It's
I think
next year, Jane. Next year is the census year.
Is it really?
21, yeah.
Why have they started talking about it? Oh, I thought it 2010, 20.
No, it's always the one.
Oh, is it? Oh, all right, that's all right. Then I don't need to worry.
Information. Yes.
Sorry about that.
I said they weren't going to do them at all now. I read somewhere, I don't know, a few months ago, but I don't know.
Okay, well, listen, if we're all happy, then thank you for your time, guys. And being nothing further, call this meeting to a close. Thank you very much, and enjoy your week.
Thank you, folks. See you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.